16 citizens fell martyrs and dozens injured following a car explosion in Al Kafata town in Hama countryside. Russia rejects UN Security Council draft statement on Syria because it does not mention the crimes committed by the opposition. Sigrid Kaag says commitment to the deadline set at the end of next June to eliminate the chemical weapons in Syria is realizable. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Irado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. 16 citizens, including women and children, have been killed and others injured in a booby-trapped car explosion perpetrated by terrorists in Al Kafata village in As-Salamiyya province in Hama countryside. Hama Police Command source said the blast took place near the village's school. The wounded were moved to Hama Hospital to receive the necessary treatment. Huge damage was inflicted on houses, cars and infrastructure. Also in Hama, Al-Ba'ath neighborhood has been targeted by terrorists who fired missile shells at the area, killing child Leen Salura and causing material damage. Also in Hama, the authorities have been able, with the cooperation of the inhabitants, to seize a terrorist hideout in a house in As-Sakhne, capturing a large number of terrorists. A military source said the place contained explosive devices, RPG shells, automatic rifles, various kinds of ammunition, as well as a tunnel used by the armed men for transport and supplies. In Homs, the Syrian Arab Army has thwarted infiltration attempt by terrorists from Al-Qarabis in the direction of Al-Amal Hospital and Jurat al-Shayyah, and from Ad-Dar al-Kabira in the direction of Al-Khalidiyya. The army also targeted terrorist gatherings in Babhoud and Ma'arrit al-Ja'bani in Al-Rastan and Burj Qa'i in Al-Hawla. It also eliminated armed men who were firing missile shells in Al-Ghasibiyeh. Units of the Syrian Arab Army attacked terrorist gatherings in Queres and Central Prison area in Aleppo, killing and wounding dozens of gunmen. A military source said that cars loaded with weapons and ammunition were destroyed near Rasm al-Abboud airport and east of Qabbasin village, as dozens of terrorists were eliminated. Also in Aleppo, units of the Syrian Arab Army ambushed a terrorist group which was trying to break into Al-Azamiyya neighborhood, killing all of its members. Army units also eliminated a terrorist den near Baidin crossing, killing and wounding scores. Units of the Syrian Arab Army eliminated a number of terrorists in Deir ez-Zor and Al-Hasake and destroyed their weapons and ammunition. A military source said the army executed a qualitative operation, destroying 2 pickup cars equipped with anti-aircraft machine guns in the neighborhood of Al-Arfi, Al-Sina'a, Al-Jbayliyya and Hassan Taha Street in Deir ez-Zor. In Al-Hasaka, army units targeted terrorist dens in Tal Brak district, killing and wounding scores. Russia rejected a UN Security Council draft statement composed by Britain on the situation in Syria, describing it as being unbalanced and doesn't mention the crimes of the opposition. Russia rejected the draft statement, which calls for condemning the Syrian government but does not refer to the crimes of the opposition. Russia asserted that amendments should be made in the draft statement to be balanced and fair. Members of the UN Security Council failed to coordinate a draft statement on the situation in Syria for the second time this month. The Special Coordinator of the UN Chemical Weapons Prohibition Organization mission to Syria, Sigrid Kaag, has praised the Syrian government's cooperation with the mission as constructive, affirming that the commitment to the deadline set at the end of next June for the elimination of chemical weapons in Syria is realizable. In a press conference following a closed session of consultations during which the UN Security Council listened to her statement related to the elimination of chemical weapons in Syria, Kaag said, "We should remember that Syria is in a state of war and the security situation may change every day." She referred to the recent logistic challenges that led to the delay in obtaining the necessary equipment from certain countries and starting work, in addition to closed roads due to snow. Kaag added that transferring the first shipments of chemical weapons to Latakia harbor is an important step because it ushers the beginning of eliminating them abroad. She pointed out that some chemical weapons will be eliminated on board an American vessel, as others will be transferred to other countries where they will be disposed of. Head of the British-Iranian Parliamentary Friendship Group, Jack Straw, has affirmed that the crisis in Syria should be solved through political means. During his meeting with Chairman of the National Security and Foreign Policy Committee at the Iranian Shura Council, Ala ad-Din Brujerdi, Straw said, "Iran, with its official role, should certainly take part effectively in the International Conference on Syria, Geneva II." He added that the British parliamentary delegation's visit to Tehran aims at improving and developing bilateral relations. On his part, Brujerdi said Britain should accept that Iran has triumphed in the nuclear negotiations. Brujerdi pointed out that Iran's nuclear file should leave the UN Security Council and should return to the International Agency of Atomic Energy, and all the embargo measures should be cancelled, and Iran should continue its activity as a state that possesses the potentials of peaceful nuclear technology. German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier has said that Iran must be invited to attend the International Conference on Syria to be held in Geneva later this month. Steinmeier's remarks came during an interview with As-Safir newspaper on the sidelines of his meeting with the European institutions' leaders in Brussels. He made it clear that Iran's participation is necessary if we want the conference to make progress, expressing hope that the conference would help reach an agreement among all parties. An Iraqi security source has talked of violent clashes that erupted today between Iraqi troops and terrorist groups in Al-Bubali between Al-Ramadi and Al-Fallujah. Meanwhile, calm prevailed in Al-Fallujah, west of Iraq today, following a day of battles that ended with a security agreement between the city's dignitaries and the Iraqi army to end all armed aspects in the city and to hand over the security issue to the police and the tribesmen. The highway was reopened and traffic returned to normal. It is to be noted that the terrorist acts in Al-Fallujah and Al-Ramadi have so far killed more than 250 persons and displaced 13,000 families. Meanwhile, 6 Iraqi soldiers were killed and 20 others were injured in a terrorist bomb car blast in an army volunteer center in Baghdad, as 12 militaries and 2 citizens were also killed in Iraq in a terrorist attack carried out by an armed group in a military building in Al-Azim area north of Baghdad. On the other hand, terrorists blew up a bridge that connects Al-Ramadi bridge with the western areas in Al-Anbar province. Back to our local news, Prime Minister Dr. Wael Al-Halaqi has underlined the integrated role between the government and the Syrian Red Crescent Organization in presenting humanitarian relief and medical services to the citizens that have been affected by the terrorism of the armed groups. During his meeting with members of the Red Crescent Organization's Homs branch, Al-Halaqi referred to the necessity to provide citizens' needs in all provinces, expressing confidence in the Syrians' ability to triumph over terrorism. The meeting dealt with the mechanisms to offer services and medical and food assistance to all districts, work out health awareness programs and provide medical requirements to Al-Hilal Hospital in Homs, which will open shortly. Now to latest business and market news, but after a short break, stay tuned.